Well, we decided to come down here to the UK consulate to voice our displeasure, and lots of different people put the word out. No one really knew what the turnout would be, and three of us got here around about 11 and decided we would simply walk straight into the UK consulate and try and talk to them about what's going on with Julian Assange. And we got in there, they wouldn't speak to us at all, and so we decided at that point that we were just going to wait for a while, and we ended up waiting for a couple of hours actually.
More of Wikileaks. We want justice. We want peace. We want more of Wikileaks. We want justice. We want peace. We want more of Wikileaks.
We want justice. We want peace.
We want more of Wikileaks.
Can you tell us what it was like up there?
Hot. They pumped the heating up really, really high because obviously they didn't want us to stay there. One of our fellow activists, James, Sean Bedlam and I were up there with Daniel and Kaz. James Crafty, one of our friends, came up and the protective service officers slammed him against a wall and then proceeded to have him arrested on the other side of the glass in the consulate office where we were sitting. The consulate staff refused to speak to us about their treatment of Assange or Ecuador, and we just wanted to make a clear statement today on behalf of Australian citizens that are ashamed not only by our own government's behaviour but the behaviour of the UK. Ecuador is not a colony. We should no longer be a colony. We should be protecting our own citizens, and we should be standing up for the rights of all sovereign nations and for the rule of law around embassies and diplomatic staff. What's gone on in the last few days is absolutely outrageous, and globally citizens should be extremely concerned about it.
Why did you come down?
Voluntarily? We left voluntarily because they kept pumping up the heating to the point where we were starting to feel like we were going to pass out. They'd closed off all viewing access to the staff. They were obviously not going to speak to us, which is quite a shame. You think in a democratic country, part of the democratic process should be a member of the public can ask questions of any official, including UK representatives in Australia. They completely ignored us, and in fact they actually ignored the people that were there to get visas and all sorts of other things as well. So we're really disappointed that people in positions of consulate officials don't have the courage to actually face the public on this issue. I think the UK know that they've acted appallingly. I think the people of Ecuador should be incredibly proud of their leadership, and I think that the public should stand behind Ecuador and its right to sovereignty.
And eventually, after waiting for a couple of hours, quite a few people were downstairs, and then we heard that there was a lot of mainstream media down here, so we just made a decision in about 10 seconds, well, let's go down and talk to the media about why we're here. Well, yeah, it's hard to get media interested. The whole point is to get this stuff into the news and demonstrate that citizens are concerned and are prepared to, for instance, risk arrest. There was a risk of us being arrested. Fortunately, it didn't come to that, which is great because don't want to be locked up for the weekend. That was pretty funny. that was great, and it's good when you wait around slowly dehydrating in an overheated office for 2 hours as they're turning the heat up, and it's good to come out and see that you're part of something much bigger. That's very exciting,
Well, speaking as a British citizen, I'm actually sick and tired of the UK government, one, thinking that they can speak for me, and two, acting like the bully boys of the world. Frankly, I've had enough. The UK and the US are very good at this sort of thing. There was one man who has stood up and said, no, we're going to expose your shonky double dealing, and he's currently holed up in an embassy in London. And I'm here today to just show a bit of support for that one solitary man that seems to have turned the whole world upside down right now. And if the UK government and the US government are freaking out about all the disclosures, then maybe they need to look at their foreign policy. They talk about people being endangered by this information being released. Well, maybe they need to stop spying spying on people that they call their friends. And I think he has done a wonderful thing. He's kicked sand in the bully boys' faces, and they don't like it one little bit. Judging by the amount of fuss that's being made, he's doing the right thing, he's on the right track, and I'm here to support him. He was in Sweden for a very long time. As far as I'm aware, now don't quote me on this, but as far as I'm aware, he stayed in Sweden for a long time, specifically to assist the police. The charges were dropped, he left the country, and the charges have suddenly reappeared again. Probably, I would suggest, because of public pressure and media pressure from the American government. I don't think it's about sexual assault, and I'm really quite disgusted that they have used that platform to try and get even with this man that has caused them so much embarrassment. We all know the real reasons. Well, we're not stupid, are we? I think even the most blinkered person only has to look at the information available and see that this is a shonky situation. And look at how this man's been treated. And I'd be worried. I'd be very worried. I'm British, and I'm worried about my government's reaction to this. And if I was Australian, I'd be very worried too. It doesn't seem that you get an awful lot of support, and especially if you speak out against very dodgy foreign policy.
And we would like to see the United Kingdom, with some actual diplomatic pressure from our own government and foreign minister, ensure that Julian Assange receives safe passage out of the United Kingdom to Ecuador.
And what's your reaction to the police presence here today? It's quite a few compared to the number of you guys.
There were only 4 of us upstairs. We went in very peacefully. We didn't go in there to occupy. We went in there simply to ask some questions. They ran a mile as soon as they saw what we wanted to talk to them about. They immediately brought 7 officers up, including federal police, local police, protective services, and 3 other detectives later arrived on the scene. What I am most disappointed about today is the way they treated fellow activist James Crafty, who's standing over there. They slammed him against a wall for no reason. That kind of brutality in a country that calls itself democratic and believes that protesters have a right to speak and that we have a right to go about our business as citizens is appalling, and it shows how Victoria is quickly sliding into a police state.
Thank you very much.
Why do you think that the Australian government is actually defending the actions of the United Kingdom and not protecting Julian Assange?
Well, it's quite clear that the USA has made it clear to all its client state partners that they want Julian Assange. Anyone who had any doubt about what is actually going on with Julian Assange surely must be convinced now, when the United Kingdom threatens a peaceful sovereign nation like Ecuador over a man who has not been charged with any crime in any country. It's quite clear the United States is out to get one of our fellow citizens, and we should be up in arms about it, as should our government. Instead, they are hiding because they are doing the bidding of a rogue superpower that has caused more death and destruction on this planet than any other.
Because this is just part of a worldwide movement that's made up of lots and lots of movements, really. So yeah, it's good to do something like that and come out and see that it's been noted. It helps build solidarity in the movement too, just to see each other, working together. And we were up there. There were people trying to get into the building as well. Nearly got all the way in. I won't say who right now. But people were very clever and resourceful in giving the authorities plenty to concentrate on and keeping them confused for long enough for all of the media to get here. And then one of us, Sam, spoke to the media and spoke quite eloquently about Julian Assange, Wikileaks, Ecuador, and where this fits into a global picture of power out of control, basically.
They're terrified. And if I was in their situation, I would be too. People are waking up. They're seeing the lies and the misinformation and the disinformation are finally waking up and coming out, taking to the streets and saying this isn't good enough. Well, basically, this is a wake-up call, I think, to the UK, the US and the Australian government. We're not going to be silent on this, and I'm not going to sit back and watch what looks like the best part of the world spend so much time and resources on trying to silence this man. They're so vociferous about it that one can only assume that he's actually onto something. So I'm all here to support him, really.
I think it's quite extraordinary. We just asked for a bottle of water, or we asked them to turn the heating off. Instead they pumped, oh thanks Jamie, you can see that water. Instead they turned the heating up, and they actually barred the door so we couldn't push the door open to go out to the toilets or into any other space. They clearly did not want to arrest us. They say that's because they wanted a peaceful solution. I think they were concerned that the media would rock up and actually show a real interest in what's going on here. So thank you very much to everybody that did come down. I hope you run the stories, because what's happening to Ecuador and Julian Assange is going to end up being one of the most historically absolutely appalling narratives of our time, and we should be ashamed that our government is not protecting him, and he has to seek asylum in a South American country.
Have you guys been told the police will take any action against you, or are you free to go?
We're free to go. The police threatened to arrest us if we didn't leave. They then said a UK consulate official would come and speak to us and formally ask us to leave. The UK consulate officials obviously were too concerned that they would be asked some curly questions, so they never came out, they never spoke to us, they hid in their offices, and they moved every time we peeked through the windows to see where they were. So they were obviously directed to stay away from us, and it was going to be a waiting game. And since we were all slightly dehydrating because of the heat in the room, we decided it was time to come down and actually let you know that they already assaulted one protester, and they're obviously doing the bidding of the UK consulate instead of protecting the people of this country. What a surprise. Thank you.
Wake up, Australia. Please.